Good afternoon. My name is Ryan Ralston. I'm the Executive Director of Peachtree Normal.
And I'm Jamie Hartless, the Public Relations Director for Alabama Republicans Against Marijuana Prohibition.
And this afternoon, I had the privilege of driving down to Alabama and spending the afternoon with Jamie. We had the honor to interview Mr. Tommy Chong.
And it was awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we are so very grateful that you decided to speak with us today about your personal relationship with cannabis. So,
Okay.
yeah, we are very, very grateful to have you with us. I just figured we would start kind of at the beginning and how did your love for cannabis come about?
I started when I was about 17 years old. A friend of mine from Calgary, where I grew up, a jazz player, a bass player named Raymond Ma. He showed up at our little jazz club that we had in Calgary, and he had a gift for me from LA. It was a marijuana cigarette and a Lenny Bruce album, a comedy album, and uh, and that's what changed my life forever. The joint, we smoked his joint. I didn't smoke mine right away. I was still a little worried about it, because of the reefer madness
Yeah.
going on back then. That was in the 50s. That was like 50. I think it was 57, something like that. And but I just sort of, I really trusted Raymond, my friend, and so, but I still, just very timidly puffed. Yeah, I would take a toke just enough to feel the effect, and the joint lasted me for about a month, uh, uh, and then I never got any for probably a couple of months,
Yeah.
and so I found out two things. And, number one, I really liked it. I liked the high, and number two, I could live without it. I never had any physical urge to go looking, like you do with cigarettes, for instance. There was no
Exactly.
addictive quality to it, and then we ended up going to Vancouver, and that's when I started getting sort of like a more of a well, that's when I started experimenting with everything else, that was available, but because I'm a bodybuilder, and that was the only substance that bodybuilders would use. They wouldn't drink, they wouldn't use pills or coke or anything. Any destructive drugs. And so I found out real early that it was not only it calmed the mind, but it was healthy if you respected everything else that went along with health. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So what age did you start using cannabis regularly where, you were pretty regular with it?
Uh, Let me. Well, really, not until. Well, yes. Thing is, when you're growing up, there's nothing regular about about life. There's no there's no habit. It was one of those things because it's not addictive. It was
Right.
like, oh, if someone had it, oh, great. If not, well, too bad. You know,
Yeah,
you never stopped your life for it. But
exactly.
what the thing it really stands out in my mind is I remember that I had a cigarette habit, and I was determined because of my bodybuilding thing. I was the only weakness in my program, and so I was determined to quit smoking. And then I realized I could do it if I substitute a marijuana joint instead of the cigarette. So every time I felt like a cigarette, I'd light up a joint.
Yeah.
And then I'd put it out because I still to this day I'm a one toke, two toke hitter. So I'd put it out, and
Really? That's
it
fascinating.
what it did, it took away that nicotine craving, you know,
Right.
because a lot of addiction is the habit of doing it,
Yes.
you know. And that's why placebos sometimes work better than real medicine, because it's the mind that thinks it's getting something that's healing it, you know.
Right.
And so no, I then my love affair with pop was, you know, if you're there, fine. If not, no problem. And it just went along like that right up until I went to jail. And then when I was put in jail for selling bongs, I had to quit. Period. You know, because I had to quit because before the trial, it's called pre-trial probation,
Mm.
and you get drug tested all the time. And if you fail the drug test, they'll throw you in jail right away.
Wow.
And it's also goes against you, you know, in court, whatever you're facing, you know, that you violated their drug policy. And so for like 3 years, I never smoked at all,
Yeah.
because when I was incarcerated, there was a lot of snitches, you know, that were trying to get me to break, you know, the rules and smoke.
Yeah.
Because that's what the government wanted me to do. They, you know, because they felt kind of stupid putting me in jail for bongs, thinking right away, you know, that I was some sort of crazed drug addict, you know, that would violate first chance I got, you know. But I surprised them, you know, because I purposely, you know, I mean, there were a lot of chances, you know, for me to get high. But you know what I found out? There's a herbalist, a Native American herbalist in prison, and David turned me on to a plant called lion's ear, and
Really?
it's they use it for hedges. It's a flower anyway, but it's medicine.
Hmm.
And if you took the leaf of lion's ear and crumpled it up, rolled it up like a joint, it would never give you the high that pot did, but what it did, it gave you great dreams at
Really?
night. At night, oh man, I'd have other people's dreams. You know, you know how we have a dream is almost the same all the time. You're always
Yeah.
stuck, you know. But after doing Lion's Ear, it was like, wow, this was a new, and again, it wasn't addictive, but
Yeah.
it helped a lot of us potheads who were getting drug tested all the time, because
Yeah.
it never showed up any THC. And so, but other than that, and then, you know, that wasn't addictive either. You know what was addicting to me was bodybuilding, working out, you
Really?
know, physical exercise. Yeah, to this day, I am, I use it all the time. Like, you know, as you get older, you start dozing off for no reason. You know?
I do that now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I do when I start getting tired, I'll go work out. You know, I got my little home gym, and I'll do a workout, because it's all about circulation. You
Yeah.
know, because once you get the blood circulating, you know, it's like new blood. It's and your blood is full of energy. You
Yeah.
know, that's what gives you energy. You know, so. No, the thing I found out about marijuana is that uh, it kicked off the creative part of me. You know, I even to this day, like, I'm a photographer,
Hmm.
and 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 whenever I get high and I have time, I'll muse through my pictures, you know, that I've taken, and I've done it straight, and it's not as much fun. But when you're a little zonked on pot, those those pictures talk to you. You
Yeah.
know, all of a sudden you see great art. I see great art in what I do, and the thing is, I'm a shy artist. I'm the kind of artist. I'm not going to try to sell anything, well, except for the bongs.
Yeah.
But that's another artist doing that.
Yeah. I was gonna say
But
that's still art.
yeah, but for me, I do like paintings and carvings and stuff like that. But I don't put them out. I don't put them out for sale.
Yeah.
And the reason is that when you create art, it's like you're giving birth to something really special inside of you, and then if other people take it and abuse it in any way, like that's what a lot of rich people, they buy art to keep their wealth, to have something that's going to increase in value,
Hmm.
but they can enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like a friend of mine once told me, like a $50,000 or dollar painting on the wall, it means a lot more to him than $50,000 worth of gold in a bank somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you see the painting and you see it every day, and good art gives off beautiful vibrations,
Yes.
which makes it so valuable. But
Yes.
anyway, that's my little life.
Yeah. Well, what is your, we know, of course, you do like to smoke cannabis. Do you have any other preferred methods of cannabis use?
Oh, I got these breast strips.
Really?
Uh, yeah, that we sell.
Oh,
These
cool.
are Tommy Chong breast strips, and they're like,
Wow.
yeah, and they're loaded with THC. This one has, well, there's 100. So there, each one is, I think, 10 milligrams of THC in each one.
Nice.
And these are the ones that my wife loves. She,
Really?
she, wa- she'll wake up in the middle of the night, and take her little breast strip, and then go to La La Land. And all her rich friends, they love them too, because you're not smoking, you're not acting like a hippie or a
Right,
black
right.
jazz musician. You take a little strip, you can still maintain your decorum. But the other New Year's Eve, we're at a party. Very wealthy people, very well. There were 6 of us there because of the thing, the separation and the mask and all that. And so I brought my strips along, and I handed them out. And one lady, she wasn't used to it. And so she got really quiet. And then all of a sudden, we watched her. Everybody else was chatting away, and she got real quiet. And then her husband, she whispered something to her husband, so he helped her, and they went into the house. We're outside, and they went in the house, and then she came back, and I said, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "The weirdest thing," she says. All of a sudden, I started thinking these terrible thoughts,
Oh,
and
no.
then I thought, "Oh my God, did I say them out loud?" we laughed, but then I said, "What were the thoughts?" I mean, because what was she thinking? What the hell are these guys doing here? Yeah, but I've got so many of my wife's friends. They're my friends too, but my wife's the connection, and they all love the strips.
Yeah.
I've got I got more people, and they're wealthy too. Wealthy people crack me up because they got such a slick way of getting stuff for free.
They want the breath
Like,
strips.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. What they'll say, Tom, hey, listen, sorry to bother you, but man, I've been looking all over for these breast strips, and yeah, I just can't find them. I had my girl look for them. Blah, blah. They're easy to find. They're all over the place, and it's like, do you have any more free ones to give me?
Those are the best kind.
And of course, they're my wealthy friends. I'm gonna help them.
Yeah. Well, aside from prison, when you went for selling bongs, have you had any other legal altercations involving cannabis through the years?
No. Actually, that was almost get out of jail free. Never incarcerate Chong anymore.
Yeah.
And well, then soon after, see that I got out of jail, 05.
Oh, fine.
I was in there, 04. I was in there for the 04, and then I got out in 05, and then after 3 years, I started smoking again, and it was almost like a sign from God or something, because the first day I'm in Canada, and I'm going to make a ritual out of this, just me, and I got my little joint with me, and I'm walking on the beach, I lit up, took a couple of tokes, then I took one step, and I had the worst shoes on for being on a beach in Canada, because there's a lot of logs and stuff. I took a toke, I took a step, and I went up in the air, and bam! It was
Oh,
it was
no.
But the fact that I was stoned, that by the time I hit the ground, I was nice and stoned. I didn't feel any pain, and
Yeah.
I started laughing. I started laughing at myself, because what I found out. People say, how's this lockdown? How are you handling it and all this? Because everybody's going kind of squirrely. I'm loving it, man. And I can't understand why I was loving it so much. And then I realized I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
I'm locked down with a comedian. And so I can find humor in everything.
Yeah.
Like Donald Trump, I swear to God, I never laughed so hard in my life. Not sharing it, because for a while there, like I lost a lot of fans, social media fans, because I was really anti-Trump, because he wants to build a wall around my Mexican, like he's attacking Cheech personally, and myself, because I consider myself Mexican too. And so I was really, anti-Trump, and then all this stuff started happening, and I started laughing because I could see the humor. Because when I was in prison, I took a lesson in in the art of the con,
Really?
because that's why they call them convicts.
Yeah.
They're con artists. Every one of them, they're a con artist. Yeah, the first day I was in there, I met two guys for sure. And that started off. There's a track. You walk the track every night, and the first night I'm in there, I'm walking the track, and these two guys, hey, Tom, right away they try to link me up because I'm Chinese, Chinese name. Hey, Wayne Wong, he's here, and how would you like your own recording studio? Because they put I'm a recording artist, and I'm Chinese. So, hey, I got this guy, Wayne, he's a Chinese. He's got all his money. And then I started meeting everybody, and I started, because again, I'm a writer, comedian, and I started realizing that everybody's in there. We're innocent, everyone, and they're about to be released, because their jailhouse lawyer found, hey, we found the thing, they can't do this to you, you shouldn't be here. I laughed, and so then I started realizing that Trump is this con man. Well, for instance, I was in jail with the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort,
Mm-hmm.
and we shared a cubicle together. In fact, I helped him write his book.
Really?
Because con men, they crack me up because they'll steal from themselves. They don't feel right unless they're stealing somebody. And so I was writing my book, and Jordan, he used to play tennis every day, and he would do two things at once. He'd walk around with a guy playing backgammon with him while he's walking, and talking to somebody else. He's a genius, without a doubt. And so he used to play tennis, and he'd come into the cubicle, and I'd be writing. And he said, "What are you doing?" "I'm writing my book." He said, "I'm going to write a book." And so he wrote a couple of pages and handed it to me like I was a teacher, you know. And I read it and I started laughing because the guy is such a thief that he was stealing his book. He wrote down almost word for word Tom Wolfe, Bonfires of the Vanity. Almost word for word. Hey, what do you think of that? Eh? I says, it's terrible. What? I says, this Tom Wolfe. What do you do? He said, well, then you got a little sheep. So what should I write? I says, write what you've been telling me every night, all the stories. Because every night he'd tell me another story and another story. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, this guy, you know. And so he said, yeah, okay. And so I didn't see him after that. He just wrote. And then I got out first. And then next thing you know, there's a guy peeping his horn outside. And, and, and I look out and it's Jordan. Because we're both on probation, we're not supposed to have any contact with each other. And so he's yelling at me, Tom, I sold my book. I wrote my book. Your book? He said, yeah, I wrote a book, you know, when I was working in jail. And it's a Wolf of Wall Street. I sold it. Well, they're going to make a movie out of it. Again, you know, when he said they're going to make a movie out of it, my mind went, what kind of hustle was that? And sure enough, he did the movie. And then a couple of years later, the feds come in and found out that the guy that financed the movie stole the money from Malaysia. It was the Malaysian government, and he stole the money out of that to give to Jordan. But the thing is, with myself anyway, you know, I can find humor in everything. And Trump, he's just like a gold mine of laughs.
Tommy, did that humor help you during your struggles while you were incarcerated, or did that humor help after you got out and were starting to deal with life once again as a free man? Did your love of humor solidify those in your life closest to you, or were you able to find salt? Were you able to find comfort in that?
Well, what I did as soon as I went to prison, you see, before you go to prison, you always have this feeling that something's going to happen, especially when you did nothing wrong. You know, like I did absolutely nothing wrong. You know, I did everything correct. You know, my lawyers, you know, it was my son's company, blah, blah, blah. And the only reason I went to jail is that they threatened to go after my son and my wife, you know. And so I said, no, I'll go. And so what I did, I turned it into a religious retreat. As soon as I walked through the gates, you know, as soon as they incarcerate you, you know, I just realized, you know, this is real. This is real. And so then I became like a monk, you know. I just, because you got to sell, everything's planned for you, you know, you don't have to think about anything. And so I went on a very beautiful spiritual trip. And I joined the Indian Sweat Lodge. And then I found out later that I'm 8% Native, which explains so much, you know. But I turned it into a sweat lodge. I never got into the humor until just recently. It was just like I was doing these top podcasts, and then I realized, because I thought of something so funny. I was stoned, of course. Then I had to call Cheech. I had to call somebody. So I called Cheech and I told him, and we had a laugh. At least I did. I had a big laugh. I'll tell you, it's silly, but like my son said to me, you know, because I'm always singing and playing guitar. He says, you and Cheech should do a set, you know, acoustic set, you know, just the two of you. And, you know, whatever you sing, you know, and I thought, yeah, that'd be a great idea. And I thought, okay, what would I name? Because it wouldn't be Cheech and Chong, it'd be like characters, you know. So I'm trying to think of a name for the characters. And I don't know what come up, but I've always been called the Pope of Dope.
The polka dot.
Yeah. So I thought, so that would be funny. Okay, that's my name, Pope of Dope, the Pope of Dope. Yeah, and I can have like funny Pope hats and and do a little Pope routine. Okay, now who's the Pope's right hand man? You know, and I thought of this, and I thought, oh, he could be a homosexual, a Chinese homosexual, because keeping with the Catholic Church and their traditions, they're altar boys and so on. so I thought of, okay, what would I name the sidekick? And I thought of the Chinese word, the Chinese name of some young guy.
Some young guy.
I got that. I laughed. I was high. I laughed so hard. The Pope of Dope and some young guy. It tickled me to no end. It still does. It still does. It didn't tickle Cheech as much. Because he never did like being some young guy.
Some young guy, yeah, I can imagine.
He'd rather be the Pope of Dope, But that's what I've been doing with my, and I laugh at myself, man, because I do really funny things with my life, But I channeled a lot of it into what I did in prison too, like because of my age, they never. I didn't have to work, like if you're a certain age, you don't have to work. You over 60, I think, or 65. I think it's 65, and so I went in there. I was like 70, no 68, something like that. Yeah, and I didn't have to work, but I wanted to work, and so they gave me a job sweeping the cigarette butts in the sidewalk and that, and then I hooked up with an old see, I'm telling you, I'm such a comedian. I would practice I was taking tango, Argentine tango, when I went in, and so I was practicing my tango moves, my tango walk on the basketball court.
Yeah.
And of course, the prison's crowded, and the next thing you know, I got a group of bikers. They were my big fans. These old bikers, they were like the peaceful bikers, and they're gathered around. They're watching every afternoon. They come up and watch me practice my tango walk. And then one day, one of the bikers goes, "Hey, Chong, you don't have to dance alone. I'll dance with you." Har, 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 har. And so I walked over and I grabbed him in my arms to dance with him. And he got all homophobic. He got all squirrely. So he became my dog.
Yeah.
He became my best friend.
Yeah.
And his name, Steve Larson. And the thing is, Steve, he was like one of those guys that go to jail all their lives, ever since they're like a teenager, even preteen, been in jail all his life, in and out, in and out, in and out. And so much so that he knows about it. And so we're walking the track, and I told Steve, I says, teach me how to do time. I want to learn. And because he knows, he's okay. Well, the first thing you got to do is play games. You got to find games. You're out every game. And so they had a pool room there, so the first thing we did, we went over and played pool. And he says, no, you don't just play games, you got to bet, but you can't bet money. So you bet stupid things like push-ups on demand, like the loser has to do, say you bet 20 push-ups, and so you can be in the middle of the mess hall or, lined up to go eat or something. And the guy, the winner will say, okay, give me 5, give me 10, and no matter what you're doing, you got to stop what you're doing, get down and do your push-ups.
Oh
and so he explained all this to me, I said, oh, okay. So we played a game of pool. and I beat him.
The tango loving biker.
I beat him, and because Steve was so beautiful, because he was so innocent. He was so innocent. He became my cheat, so I beat him. And so he's okay, well, you won. How many push-ups? And I said, no, not now, not now. He says, okay, well then let's play another game. I said, nope. He says, what? I said, come on, that's one game. I said, no, no, I got a perfect record. And you owe me 20 push-ups. And so we're walking the track that night, and he's telling all his buddies, that I won't play a game with him, the Chong's such a chicken shit. So I said, Steve, give me 2. And he said, oh man, let me do them all. I said, no, give me 2.
Give me 2.
He stopped. He goes down, does 2 push-ups. The rest of the bikers, man, they're laughing. I strung out that 20. It got to the point where we couldn't even remember how many he owed me. But I had the best time, and he was like, he was like one of the peaceful bikers. But oh man, it was. There's a whole camaraderie in prison that you can never find anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I was so blessed, so blessed. There were intelligent people there. This is where all the Nixon people, Halderman, Ehrlichman, all those guys. That's where they did time in jail. And I was in there with a Reagan speechwriter.
Wow.
And what they do, they keep it quiet, so the public never knows that these guys did the time. There's professional athletes that were in there, doing time secretly.
Wow.
And oh yeah, and it was a beautiful experience all the way around. And then I got into the I Ching, the book of changes, and I started giving I Ching readings to everybody, and yeah, and then we had the sweat. Then we had the sweat lodge. We had a for real sweat lodge. It was like where you build a fire and you put hot rocks in there, and like a sauna. Only it's really, really hot. And so we did that every Saturday, and so the time went by just like it flew by.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, and I saw, I had a chance to regroup. When you have the whole thing about a penitentiary, it comes after the word penance. It's what do you call it? A Quaker thing, and that's what. And it was only in America that they had penitentiaries, because that's where you come and do your time and so on. And yeah, so I feel that I've been blessed in so many ways, and that was another blessing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You were able to turn a negative into a positive, and then share your story with others who may be going through that plight right now, and see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and there's hope for those who are in the midst of suffering.
Well, the great thing is that the way we're built is that we can change our mind on a dime, in a minute. You can change your life anytime you want. That's what born again means. Mm-hmm. Born again isn't a big deal. That's what I learned, in my studies, my religious studies, like baptism, for instance. It's just a ritual. Mm-hmm. It's just something that you do to symbolize something greater, And so you don't need water, and you don't need a priest. You don't need any of that to change your mind,
right.
And because that's all you do. And the reason, because we're in a physical world, you see. In a physical world, there's chaos.
Yeah.
There's conflict, chaos, total. And the reason is that that's the only way we can learn. We can't learn anything in the spiritual world because everything's spiritual.
Yeah.
There's no bad. It's all good.
Exactly.
There's nothing to learn. There's nothing to learn. And that's what we are. We are spiritual creatures, but we're here on earth to learn a lesson. And sometimes, like this is what I learned, from the great spiritual teachers, is that you don't talk, you don't answer unless you're asked. If someone asks you for directions, then you give them directions. But you don't walk up to someone and say, "Hey, you want to know how to get to the zoo?" You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's the same as the religious, spiritual things. Like when I was in the joint, they had to ask me. Because I was given these readings, but I wasn't going around and say, "Hey, do you want a reading?"
Yeah.
No, they would come to me and say, "Can you do me?" The first time I did one, it was with the I Ching. Uh, my brother-in-law sent me the I Ching, and I got the book. I'm looking at it. So I got out the coins and I started doing it. And this Mike, this, another inmate, he saw me and he thought it was a game. He thought I was playing dice or something. And so he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing the I Ching." He goes, "What's that?" I says, "It's the book of changes." I said, "Do you want a reading?" And he said, "Yeah, I love one." And so, because he is curious, what is it? So I give him a reading. And what I did, I didn't look at his answer, because what you do, you ask the book the question. So, and you do it with the coins, and the coins tell your inner feelings.
Mhm.
And so he read his reading. And then he handed me the book and he went back and crawled up on his bunk and he just sat there. And so there was something going on, so I remembered what number it was and I read it. And it was so crazy. Well, the first time I did the I Ching, my answer was, "You are in jail for a reason." That's what that was the first line. It says, "You are in jail for a reason. Jails are corrective institutions where you go to correct your behavior."
Yeah.
And so I read his and it said, "You have suffered a great misfortune." And a month later, his wife and daughter were killed coming out to visit him in a
Oh my
car accident.
gosh. That's
And he
terrible.
was recovering from that. And
Wow.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's terrible.
so when I got that close, you know, uh, with the I Ching, then I just I kept going. I kept digging and looking and just and letting it come to me, because obviously I was there for a reason,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of people in there that that helped me, and then I helped them, you know.
Yeah.
Like even the drug counselor, when I was in there, he on my because I was a drug offender, I had to take a course in drug education,
Yeah.
and so I loved it, man. The teacher was great. He was an old roadie. He was an old roadie, and so he knew who I was, and we go up to his office. We'd have so much fun. One time, the camp commandant, the with his right hand man, they broke in to see how much fun, in case we were doing something illegal. They really just walked in on us one time, but no, it was a great thing. And again, even though I wasn't smoking, it was the marijuana that ignited this whole thing, because of the way pot works. It works on the mind.
Right.
It goes right to receptors in our mind. And this is our computer. This is controls everything,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so if you got a calm mind, you can be Tiger Woods, you
Yeah.
know. You can, you
Yeah.
know. Or you can be in your field, And so the people that my rich friends, what do I do? What do I do with this thing? These guys, they control billions of dollars and everything else, and they're asking me. So now what? What do I do with this now? What? Hold my breath? What?
Well, something that that I did learn about you is that you have actually been diagnosed with two different cancers, and that you went through two different types of treatments with those cancers. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, I think I got prostate. I think, well, the age thing,
Yeah.
But again, I was off pot for 3 years, and that's when I got all the cancers.
Wow.
Well, that's when I got the prostate, and the prostate. See, I the problem with the prostate is that the first thing they say, it's slow moving. You probably die of something else first. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But to make sure that you have cancer, we're going to give you a biopsy. That was my biggest mistake. See, I should have walked away and said, thanks, I got prostate cancer, and then dealt with it. But no, I had to get a biopsy. See, sometimes it's not good to be famous. If I wasn't famous, they would say, get out of here. But okay, he's famous. Let's try all these different things. So they give me a biopsy. And then a year or so later, I get rectal cancer. I get a tumor on my rectum. And that was during Dance with the Stars. Now I'm dancing my ass off, literally.
Yeah.
because as soon as I quit Dancing with the Stars, I was in the hospital and I was getting operated on a tumor. And it wasn't slow acting, don't worry, this had to be dealt with immediately.
Yeah.
And so I never, I quit everything. I quit drinking, I quit everything. Then I had the operation, and then when you get operated like that, they put you on all the Oxycontin and all that other shit,
Yeah.
and so on a button, intravenous, and I'm laying in bed, and I can hit this button, and I can feel good every time I hit the button.
Yeah.
Well, I was banging the hell out of that button. I was like banging it every 5 minutes, and then I realized, that I'm going to have a problem. And so when I got out of the hospital, I started doing CBD, and I started injecting it into the muscle.
Wow.
And then I went back on my regular pot, to get me off the opioids. I never had a problem with opioids. As soon as I got unhooked from the machine, I never touched another pill, nothing. Just pot and just the CBD oil.
Yeah.
And here's what happens with me, just with me, and probably everybody else. But I don't want to, give anybody, that everybody has to figure out this stuff for themselves.
Yeah.
But for me, what cannabis does, it calms the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it calms the mind so much that you can sit in one position for forever and contemplate how to get out of the chair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what it does when it captures the mind like that, it keeps you from worrying about the past or worrying about the future.
Mm-hmm.
It puts you right in the moment.
Yeah.
Where we have to be. And when you're in the moment, it's impossible. It's impossible to be unhappy.
Yeah.
Because you got nothing to be unhappy about. You're just in the moment. See, people get unhappy is when they start reflecting. Oh, I could have done this. I should have done that. Or you start worrying about, oh, is she going to leave me? What's going on? no one's visiting, it's all poor me, but when you're zonked on cannabis, it's like I say, it's like, oh, I'm hungry. Oh, that sounds good. I think I'll have that. Or I'm watching something. I saw the greatest TV, like, it's a Donald Duck cartoon, but oh, it had so much meaning. So it's the mind. Again, it's the mind. Now, what I've been doing this quite a bit lately, is thinking. In fact, I do cameos a lot, and I help people. They'll say, cheer me up. Give me something to cheer me up. And so I give them a little hint of how you do it, and what it is. We all are children of God, without doubt. Okay. Therefore, we have a God app. Like the computer, you have this app, like I've got a zillion apps on my phone. I don't know how to use one of them.
Yeah.
Or maybe two of them I know. But even when I'm taught, I have to I go to my wife or my kid or my grandson and say, hey, help me. Well, we all have a God app. And all we have to do to activate that God app is to think of God. And when you think of God, that is the most powerful word in the human language. I won't say English language, but in the human Dios, whatever that word is, it means the Almighty, the ruler of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is think of God, put your mind on God, and then the miracles start happening. Because you can't have two thoughts in your head at the same time. And so if that one thought is just God, then miracles, everything happens because God is perfection. See, you can change the world, the weather. You can change everything. You can change, like I use it all the time when we're flying. Like we'll come up back in the day, when we could fly. You come up, oh, your plane got canceled, and we're trying to get you on another airplane, and so a lot of people, they get all angry, well, how am I going to do it? And they it's the wrong way. What you do, you relax, you think of God, and then you start giving compliments to the ticket lady or the ticket guy and say, oh, that's boy, I hate to have your job. You're so nice, and thank you very much for trying. All that. And so, what you do when you put this nice thing in motion, just with a thought, then all of a sudden things fall into place magically. This happened to me more than I can say. Like prison, like everything in my life. Everything in my life is just boom. Like they asked me, how are you getting through this lockdown? I'm sheltered with one of the most beautiful women on the planet. And it's been proven. She once entered a More magazine contest with her picture. And she thought it was models over 50. And it was models over 40. And she got picked. She was in the top 10 of the models over 40.
That's amazing.
And she was the shortest of them all. The rest, all of them, were 6 foot plus. She's 5'5".
5'5".
But she's not only beautiful, but she's got a beautiful aura. She's an artist. She's all of that. And it was so funny because I was going to be sentenced to jail the next day. And we stopped, but we had to go to Chicago for her to appear on the Oprah Winfrey Show as being top 10 models of More magazine. And she ended up being the only one that was on stage with Oprah. and I'm in the audience, but I'm trying to hide because I didn't want to steal any of the thunder. And the word went out. Oh, Tommy Chong's here, but it was Shelby that counted. And so she's on the Oprah hugged her and talked to her and all that. So and not only that she's beautiful, but she's this healthy, fabulous cook. Now, back in the day before the pandemic, she would cook maybe once, twice a year.
Oh, wow.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, maybe. She cooks every night for me. Every night. Every night I got this gorgeous creature in the kitchen. And now, I mean, she knows that if she's too nice to me, I'll be unbearable. So she knows how to keep me at bay by just being how beautiful women can be shitty for no reason.
That's not true.
You said that. You said I can't say that.
No, because and my son's learning all these tricks now. My son, he's married to this beautiful Indonesian girl, and they got the cutest baby. Oh my God, little Kira. Oh, she's gorgeous.
Cute.
Oh, but my son, he's learning. He's always used to watch me, handle his mom all the time, and I'm not perfect by no means, and I give her a lot of reasons to get angry with me, but no, my life is just it couldn't be any better.
Yeah. Well, I guess we need to wrap things up because I know our hour's coming up to an end. But I would like to ask if you have anything you would like to say maybe to the citizens of Alabama about advocating for cannabis or the medicinal qualities of cannabis, just anything that you would like to say to the people here in Alabama. We're trying our best to change perspectives, to educate people, to get people to understand this is something that's good for us. This is something that our bodies were meant to have in them. It's not this bad drug that we grew up, learning about in DARE and everything. There are a lot of people here in Alabama who are sick, whether it's, a mental health condition or cancer or addiction, from
Sure.
opioids or heroin or whatever. There's a lot of people that could benefit from it. I myself am a recovering alcoholic, and that's what I use it for. It completely
Right,
kills
sure.
all the alcohol cravings for me. So yeah, if you have anything you would like to say for the people in Alabama, we would greatly appreciate it.
Well, it puts you close to God. See, that's what happened with you. That's what it is. It's a gift from God.
Yes.
No, what made it legal was that Sanjay Gupta showed a picture. In fact, it's probably on CNN. You could probably find it. He showed this picture or a video of this baby who was suffering from epilepsy. The baby was a year old.
Wow.
And was having fits every 5 minutes, something like that, some ridiculous thing. And the minute it injected, he injected the baby with cannabis, the hash oil, or the Rick Simpson oil, I think it was. No, Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web was the thing. The baby hugged its mother for the first time.
Wow. That's
now
amazing.
You tell me. Now, see, you get that tape somewhere, and don't say a word. Just let them watch that.
Yeah.
Let them watch that. This is a baby, barely a year old baby, suffering from epilepsy.
Yeah.
And this is on CNN. It's not no Dr. Oz or anything like that. This is CNN, Sandra Gupta.
Okay.
You show that. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say a word after that, because I mean, we're adults, people, like I say, the way they were treating me, the big, everybody thinks I'm such a big pothead because in the movies,
Yeah.
well, that was the movies, but no, I'm 80, 82. I'll be 83 next birthday.
Wow.
And it's kept me young.
Yeah.
my body. It's the brain.
Yeah.
See, the brain's the computer. This is the brain. And so all you have to do, you can't argue with anybody. You no matter what you do, well, that's you. A baby, a helpless baby hugging its mother for the first time because of cannabis. And that right after that, boom, legal all over, all medical. In Colorado, all the states, it all got legal. So that's the argument you can make. And when you do that, there's no argument. There's no argument after that. Because
Exactly.
what are you going to argue with a baby, who's got bad habits, hung out with the wrong crowd,
Yeah. Right.
Because all cannabis use before was demonized. It's a racist law.
Yeah.
It was a racist law. It was to keep the Mexicans. You give some reason to arrest Mexicans. That's why they called it marijuana.
Yeah.
But notice now that it's legal, all of a sudden it's cannabis.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see? So keep that.
Sounds more medical.
Keep that in mind. And the thing is, again, like you say, you're a recovering alcoholic. No one has to know that. No one has to know that. And keep that as a gem, because you're going to meet people that you can relate to, and that's the people that you tell. But everybody else, they don't need to know. They don't need to know anything about that. Like I say that, but I'm the kind of guy. But I pick my time in places. Like I'll be at a dinner party with some of my wealthy friends or famous friends, and I remember the time I was in jail, and everybody go, what? They look at me like, oh, But I pick a time and place.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the truth is that everything on this planet is a gift from God, everything, but that is one of the gifts that has changed. Cannabis actually started religion. Before that, it was a tribal thing.
Yeah.
But it was the cannabis that opened the mind. And Moses, whether he was real or not, it doesn't matter, because what he did and what he showed, and what they did. All those great prophets, Jesus included, they all give it to God, and that's what we got to do. So
Absolutely.
that's it. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chong. And just one more thing, on behalf of Alabama Republicans Against Marijuana Prohibition, we wanted to cordially invite you to our first annual Alabama Woodstock that we're having in September. We're doing it the 17th through the 19th here in Alabama. So, and I'm pretty sure we could work something out to where we could get your friends and family for free passes.
I love it. I usually, I've got what am I saying? I'm usually, I love it, man. I love Republicans now.
Hey, I'm just working to have marijuana legalized. That's what I want.
That's good. Good for you, darling.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chong. It was such a pleasure getting to meet with you and speak with you and everything. We really enjoyed it today.
Thank you. And try not to talk too much, okay? Your partner.
I know, he just runs
try
his mouth.
to keep it down.
He's the star of the show.
I know. He's a wise one.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chong.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.